Hello and welcome to One Stop Co-op Shop, your one stop for co-op news and playthroughs. I'm Peter, one of your main hosts on the One Stop Co-op Shop stream channel, One Stop Co-op Shop podcast, and TikTok, so check us out at those places as well. But speaking of the streaming channel, today we're playing through Frozen Frontiers. This is a preview copy that we were graciously sent linked to the TTS by the publisher, but I will also be playing this live on the stream channel, and today I'm going to show you the basic setup, but I'm going to show you a more advanced setup on the streaming channel if you want to check us out over there as well. So what is Frozen Frontier? It is basically a Euro game, really, when you look down to it, an economic Euro game, which is also one of the reasons that I'm doing this video. I love economic Euro games. Some of my favorite games, Brass, Power Grid, Gaia Project, all these Euro games, and that's what this is. Now, it does have a theme attached to it. You are basically colonizing cities on different planets. Earth is overpopulated, corporations are taking over, so you're basically colonizing and building up these different cities on different planets throughout the galaxy. Well, it's not even our galaxy. It's like different galaxies. You go through wormholes. There's a whole lot to it, but bottom line, as you'll see, it is very much a Euro economic game where you're just working with resources throughout the game. Now, as you can see, there is a lot going on in this game. There is a main board over here. You have a player board. You have an AI board. Obviously, today, we're one-stop co-op shop, so we're going to be playing through the solo game, so we're playing against the AI over here. There's a project board down here, and there's a development board up at the top. So this is going to be quite a big game with a lot of stuff going on, but as you'll see, it's not really as complicated as it may originally appear, and I think it'll come to you pretty quickly as you're watching me play the game. So let's talk about different things you're going to be doing in the game and what all these boards are for. But before I get into what everything is, let's talk about the goal of the game. And the goal of the game is to get the most victory points. And you're going to do that by building structures on these different cities. So each of these you have two planets you're starting with, one at the top of the board, one at the bottom, and each of these places is going to have cities, and in each city there's 5 different spaces you can build, and you're going to be building different buildings within those cities, and those will give you points at the end of the game for whoever has the most influence in a city. So that means you're going to both be building buildings in there, and you're going to be putting AI modules there too, which will determine your influence over the city. So you're going to be scoring points for that. You're also going to be making deliveries back to Earth, and so you're going to score points for that, for every delivery you get back to Earth. As well as you'll be scoring points throughout the game. You may have end game goals as well, or end game scoring. There's some research where if you get to the top of the research track over here on this research track, you're going to be scoring points for these end game scorings, and you'll receive points for these individual cards, which are face up at the beginning of the game. You don't know the research for 1 and 2. First person to them actually gets to pick their first choice, second one obviously second choice, etc., etc. For these end game scoring ones, though, you know what they're going to be at the beginning, but still the first person to get there is going to get their first choice over here. You're also going to be scoring for how high up on the research track you have. So you'll notice it's not linear. You get 1, 2, 3 points, but then you jump straight to 6. Then you go from 9 right to 12, and so on as you get to the top, and not both tracks are even as well. On these research tracks, you also are going to get workers throughout the course of the game. That's one of the resources that you're going to have. You're going to have engineers over here and scientists over here. So the further up you go on each of the tracks, you're going to get a different amount of income during the income phase. Now, this game is not a super long game. There's actually only 3 rounds in the game, and at the end of round 1 Earth is requiring like mandatory shipments back to them. There isn't one at the end of round 1, but the end of round 2 they are requiring some, and the end of round 3 is requiring even more, as well as these other contracts that you can fulfill as well to get you victory points. And that's whenever you see this symbol here, that means victory points. So there are other contracts that you can fulfill as well to get victory points. Of course, if you don't fulfill Earth's demands, you will get negative victory points as well. So there are lots of different ways of scoring in the game, but the bottom line is you're trying to get the most points. Now, in this game, you will normally have victory point chips, but I'm going to be using a counter just because I think it is easier to do on Tabletop Simulator. Plus, it gives you a quicker idea of what's going on throughout the game. So this development board down here really does a couple things. It really just holds cards. So you have these project cards. You're going to start with 4 project cards in your hand. Now, in the introductory game, they're set up. If you look in the lower left corner of this card, you'll see a little 3 there. This one has a 1 there. And what that means is those are the starting cards designated for the one player in a solo game for the starting player. So, or in a multiplayer game, they would be the ones that the starting player gets in like a 2-player game. So that's what those are. But in a normal full game, again, which you'll see on the One Stop Co-op Shop stream channel, you will be drafting these at the beginning of the game. But these are project cards. You'll also notice there are project cards all throughout. So as you move to the different cities during the game, you will be collecting more project cards. And project cards tell you a couple things. If you look at the top of the project card, it tells you what building you can build. So if you notice, it says Training Center at the top there, and it's got a little icon of that. You'll notice there are certain places on cities, usually in the lower half, usually lower left if anywhere, there are going to be these training centers over here. So that's telling me I can build a training center anywhere that there's a training center on this board, which it looks like there are 3. There's 1, 2, 3, oh, looks like 4 of them, all on the left side over here. So those are all different training centers that we could build. But you'll also notice right under the word training center at the top, it says Nova York City. Now, there is one of these buildings, or one of these cities right here, Nova York City, which is the location on that card. So that means I could also build any of the spots on Nova York City. So similar to a game like Brass, where it tells you where you can build, these cards will let you determine where you can build. And of course, you'll be collecting more of them throughout the course of the game. Now, there is a special bonus, and we'll go over that as we're going over how the game is played, for building the training center right in Nova York City. So if you do both of those things, you will even receive a special bonus. But let's get to setup real quick, and I want to explain a little bit about what you're doing with resources and how they work in this game, because they work a little bit differently than they work in most games. So you're going to have these 3 different resources. You have actually 4 different resources you can collect throughout the game. The helium-3 is what is actually they want you to keep sending back to Earth. So a lot of these contracts are going to require that. But to build buildings, you'll notice that that is actually almost never something that's required. So this is what's required to build the different type of buildings, and this is the reward you're going to get for building those buildings. But you'll notice HE3 is never one of those resources that's required. But to show that you have a resource in the game, unlike most games, you're actually going to be removing cubes. So the absence of a cube shows that you have that resource. So let's look at our starting resources here. You'll notice we have one of these blue resources, which is aerogel. So we have 1 aerogel, then we have 2 energy, so we're going to take 2 energy. So again, this shows that we have 1 aerogel, we have 2 energy, and we're going to get 3 of the green resource over here, which is regolith, I guess. All right, so we have regolith as well. So those are the starting resources we have. We have none of the HE3. We also will start with 7 of these resource cubes over here, which is your money in the game. So you're going to start with a cubid, what they're called, supply at the beginning of the game. And for this faction, we start with 7. So we got 6 there right now. Let's go ahead and get our 7th one in there. So we have 7 cubid as well to start, and then you'll notice we get 2 scientists and 2 engineers as well. Then we can flip this over, attach this board right along to the other one, and we just add our workers here to the board. Now these aren't workers used in a traditional worker placement game. You'll see they actually power the workers. You'll notice each of these buildings wants specific types of workers to be there. And every time you supply workers, you don't even have to supply them to your own building. You could supply them to whoever's building. You're going to score victory points for that as well. Scientists are worth 2 victory points, and engineers are worth 1 victory point each. But they'll also be worth that as well for scoring when you score these cities as well. So we will get to that when we get to it, but let's get into gameplay, and let's just start with our first round. I'm going to go ahead and take the first action. So you will notice first thing we're going to do is an action phase, then we'll get to an income phase, then a shipment phase, then a cleanup phase. So we're going to start with the action phase, where we basically keep doing actions until this board of subsidies runs out. So you'll notice there's a deck of subsidies here. It varies based on player count, how many are in here, but we do discard a couple of them, so it's not going to be the same every game. And when we go through these subsidies, that marks the end of the round. And actually, we don't necessarily even get even turns for the first couple of rounds. Now, by the end of the game, at the end of round 3, whoever has the last player board, which in a solo game is always going to be the AI, will always get the last turn. But throughout the first couple turns, you may actually not get even turns on those first couple turns, because whenever this subsidy deck empties, that is the end of the round. We move on, we collect income, a lot of stuff happens then. but that'll be the end of the round. So there may not be even turns. By the way, just as a reminder, I am going to go over my final thoughts at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that when we're done. But let's go ahead and just get an idea of how gameplay works. So what do you do during an action phase? Well, the first thing you always do is you move. Now at the beginning of the game, we're not even on the board, but I'm going to put myself on the board, and I'm going to go to that Nova York City, which we just talked about. So there's a spot for me over there. So we did the movement part of it. Then you collect a project card there if one is present. Well, sure enough, there was a project card, so now I have another project card in my hand. And in fact, I could even play it this turn if I want to, which I don't. So, but that is an option. So now we're going to take a main action. There are 3 different options for your main action. You can either construct, you can collaborate, or you can fundraise. And we'll do all 3 of these throughout the course of the game. Constructing is basically putting buildings on the board. Collaborate is putting your workers on the board, getting victory points for them, and then you get to use those buildings as well to generate resources for you. And we'll talk about how that works in a little bit. And the last thing you could possibly do is raise funds. It's kind of like, well, I don't have anything else I need to do, or I want some money. So it's a way to collect that and actually get some of these subsidies as well. If some of these subsidies look really good, it is a possibility to get it through raising funds as well. There are other ways to get them, and we'll talk about all that as we do the course of play. But I've already done my move action. I've already collected the project card from the location that I moved to. Oops, I moved to the wrong one. I am trying to be in Nova York City. So the names of the cities are actually at the top. I am actually moving to Nova York City because that is the card I want to play. So I'm playing my Nova York City, and actually I want to play both in Nova York City and the Trading Center. And there are a couple of reasons for that. The number one reason is if you do both, you get a kind of a bonus for it. At least you have more options when you do that. And the second one is that if you'll notice here, my faction's special ability is after constructing in either of these type of buildings, I get to put an AI token in my current city, which will contribute to my control over that city. And at the end of the game, it's like an area control game where whoever has the most structures and AI tokens in a city gets control of it and scores all the points for that city. So that's very powerful end game scoring there. So I want to do this faction specific ability as much as possible. All right, so let's look at Nova York City. We're going to build it. Again, we want to build a trading center in Nova York City. So let's look how we do that. So first you play your card. Well, I already did that. That's the project card. Then I spend the resource. We can flip this board over to see what the resource cost is, but I can just look over here because we have more than one player aid, which is nice. So for the trading center, it is going to require an energy to build that. So we're going to spend our resources. We're going to spend that energy right now. The way you spend resources in this game, you're like, well, wait a minute. It's a blank spot. That's right. You have to pay to spend resources in this game. So I have to pay one of my qubits, put it over here to cover this, and that means I have spent that energy. And now I have spent my 1 energy to pay for the cost of that building. Then you get to place the building. All right. So you grab one of your buildings and you put it on the spot on the board. And you'll see there are smaller building spots here and larger building spots. It's a little bit hard to see. Hopefully in the final game they color code it or something like that. Maybe put a ring around it to show you like a different color ring or something. It'll probably be more obvious in the final version, but you'll notice here, if I put it here, there's a little bit of a border around it, so you can tell. And it looks like it's going to be a indented board as well, which is pretty cool to hold them in place. So now let's go to the next step. We did the construction part. Now let's apply the building effects. So first thing you do is receive the construction bonus. And if we look over here on the trading center, this is the icon, this is the cost, and then we get a construction bonus. So we get to move up on this blue track over here. So we're going to do that. And when we move up, now not only are we scoring a victory point at the end of the game, but you'll notice we passed a little scientist over here. When we pass that scientist, that means we gain a scientist to our pool of scientists. So that is the bonus for building that building. So then we get to complete a project. Or if we don't want to complete the project or can't, then we get to get a subsidy card instead. But we do want to complete this project. So what is this project? This project, the reason we know we can complete it is because it was in the location and with the specific city. So both things have to be true to be able to complete it. And you'll notice under your board, you have a couple of project spots. Now there's some more that you can unlock as you unlock the orange side of the track. You'll notice these little unlock symbols over here. as you move up. Those are 3 opportunities to unlock spots to do more projects. But we're going to put this project here. So if you notice on the bottom of the card, which I hadn't talked about before, this says, after constructing, receive 2 qubits for each step you advanced on the blue track during this turn. So we will talk about that. We did do that, but let's go and see where we are in the turn order, because that will come in the after construction effects. So we completed a project. If you didn't, again, we could have just discarded that card and gotten one of those subsidy cards at the bottom. Or if we had chosen to do one or the other part of that card, like either the top part or the bottom part, and just gotten a subsidy card as well. But we didn't. We did both parts, so we're doing a project. And you'll notice that's an infinite symbol. That means anytime throughout the game you do that, you get it. So right here, I did advance up on the blue track. I advanced 1 step, so I am going to get 2 qubits for my trouble. So there is that special power going off. So the last thing I do after I do my after construction effects is another after construction effect, which is to place an AI token in that city that I just did. So Nova York City, now I have 2 points of control in that city. So at the end of the game, for end game scoring, I will have 2 toward control of that city. So now for the AI turn. Well, let's first see where they started the game. You'll notice this is a 4x4 map here, or the 2x4, however you want to call it. So it tells us exactly where they're going to start at the beginning of the game, and then to execute their turn, all you do is flip over the card, and it tells you where they move to. So in this case, they want to go to this top location here. Now, to do that, they need to move 2 spaces. Now, they could do that in one of 2 ways. They can either go directly, 1, 2, or they could go down, and if you notice this blue link here, matches this blue link here, so they could go 1, 2 to get to the top as well. And they will take the shortest path possible, but in this situation, both paths are equal length, so we can choose which way we want them to go. The reason it's important is they are going to drop off qubits as you move through. 1 space is free to move. So if they wanted to go from Space Francisco to Lindgren over here, they could just move that 1 space for free. But if they want to move through Lindgren, then they have to pay a transit tax by dropping 1 qubit in that space. Now the AI doesn't have qubits, it doesn't keep track of that stuff, but that just comes from the bank when the AI does it. And that's important because anyone who controls the hub over here will get that transit tax. But nobody controls the hub right now. They would avoid giving us money if they could, but nobody controls it, so they will happily go either way. Then they get to take this card, but the AI has no use for these cards, so it just discards it down here to the project discard pile. And these are the project cards they're going to refill on the board at the beginning of each of the 3 rounds. All right, so let's see what the AI does. Basically, they follow a simple algorithm. They look at the top and work their way down. So the first thing they want to do is collaborate, and we haven't shown to collaborate yet, but basically that is putting cubes on the board to activate planets and buildings to get resources. So they say they want to collaborate if there is a place for R plus 1. R always equals the round number. So round 1 right now plus 1. So they need to be able to put 2 qubits on the table. Well, right now they can't. Normally when a building's built, if there's a worker there, then you could put a qubit there to activate to get that bonus. In this situation, they cannot do that. Now, each planet does make a basic resource. So they could put a qubit there to get the basic resource, but there's no other spot for them to put qubits right now, so they are not going to do the collaborate action. What they are going to do is the construct action. And if you notice, it says a small building, so they're going to pick a small building, but it says max. So what does that mean? So we look at this, and we look for small buildings at their location that they're at. They're on this city, Myrnissus over here. So we're going to look at Myrnissus specifically, and there are 2 places for small buildings. Actually, there's a 3rd one. The hub is a 3rd one, but it says max. So you'll notice there are numbers on the outside of each of these locations, and it wants to go to the max one, which means the highest numbered one. So 3 is the biggest number place for a small building that it can go to. So it is going to drop its building there, and then it says they get 6 victory points. Oops, not 60. That would be bad for us. All right, so let's go to our turn. And that's how quick an AI turn is, and that's how quick our turns are as well. So I do want to build more here, and I could do that, right? I could just build the hub here with this. Even though it says Sol Angeles, I could build the hub and just get a subsidy instead of making another project. But I want to focus on getting some projects early on. I just want to focus on moving around and getting stuff. So actually, I want another Nova York City card over here. So what's this card say here? It says pay either 1 or 4 qubits to advance either 1 or 2 steps on the red track. So that would be a one-time. You notice there's a lightning bolt there. In order to do that action, to do that project action, it's a one-time action because it's just a lightning bolt. We would have to be able to do the project. So you'd have to build that here in New York City. I like moving up on the red track. That seems good to me, and I got some money right now. That would maybe even unlock another project spot for us. So that's kind of cool. All right. I want to focus a little bit, at least early, on New York City. So I'm going to go ahead and just move my free move down here. Then I get to collect this card. Now I'm going to play a project card. Now again, none of these project cards match Star Vegas over here, but that doesn't matter to me. You can play any of these cards, and in fact, I am going to continue with my trying to get domination by putting my AI cubes down. So I'm going to go ahead and build over here. So to do that, I'm going to play this card. Now you notice it does not match the location, but it does match the building type. So in order to build the building, I follow the same steps as before. I will first pay the construction cost, so let's look at that. So we need to pay another red. So remember, to pay for something, you take it, a cube, and put it over here from your income. So you spend the resource, then you get to place the building. All right, we'll go ahead and take it and place the building over here because now I have built there. The next step is you can either complete a project, which I can't do because again, I match one of the two things, but not both. I only match the location, so I can't do that. So instead, I just discard this, and I picked one of these subsidies in order to do. But actually, before I do that, I almost skipped a step. First, you receive your construction bonus. So as a reminder, we go up 1 on the blue track over here. So boom, and I'm going to get my first research. So let's see what these research are. So this says one time infinite. So you can only do it once per round, but infinite number of times throughout the course of the game. After constructing one of those type buildings, receive a victory point and an engineer to your supply. Seems pretty good if you're going to build those. Let's see what this one. After completing the project, receive a victory point and a qubit. This one says after construction, settle 1 engineer in any building in the current city. So that will let you settle an engineer, and whenever you settle an engineer, you're going to get a victory point as well. So that'll give you some victory points by settling. So this is saying to complete projects, and this is saying to build those specific types of buildings. Well, let's see. I have one of those cards in my hand, one of those factories in my hand right now. Do I have any of the other ones? So how expensive are factories to build? So we're looking at, let's see. For this one, we are looking at factories and these other type of buildings. Let's see what they are. So power plants are one of them, and factories are the other. So those are actually fairly inexpensive buildings to build, and they get you up on the red track. That's not too bad. I'm going to go ahead and take this as my project because that'll get me a victory point and an engineer every time I do it. Oh man, but this is after completing any project, right? Oh, that seems pretty good. I'm going to take this actually because I like to do projects. I like to fill my project board. I'm moving up that blue board, so that's going to help me build, unlock more project spots to do even more projects. So I'm going to take this one. After completing a project, receive a victory point and a qubit. All right, so I have now gotten the bonus. I've moved up the blue track. I got that bonus, and now I get to complete my project. But I don't get to complete a project because, again, as a reminder, I use the correct city or the correct building type, but not the correct city. You need both things to match in order to make it a project and put it under your board. Instead, I get a subsidy. And remember, once this subsidy deck runs out and there's only 4 cards in it, that's going to mark the end of the round. So when you take a subsidy, you can either take the left or the right side of that card and just immediately receive those things. This one seems pretty good to me. I get a blue resource and a qubit. This says pay 2 to receive 2 scientists. I don't need those right now. Return a worker from your supply to receive 5 qubits. That seems good, but I already got some extra qubits, and I'm about to get some more also for my end of round. So I'm going to do this one right here. So as a reminder, I discarded that project card because I didn't need to use it, and I'm going to receive the bonus from this. So I receive a blue resource and a qubit. Now remember, to mark that you get a resource, you just empty the space. So I can take that qubit or that white cube from there and put it in my qubit space, and now it's just like I got that resource and a qubit. And as a reminder, because I built this specific type of building, I get to put an AI module in my city. So again, that helps me for control. And I completed this project here after construction And when you move up the blue track, which I did, you get 2 qubits. So there you go. Qubits not seeming to be a problem for me right now. I'd love to get some energy resource, but we will work on that for the next turn. And then this subsidy is gone, so we're going to replace it with the new one, and we continue to go. So now when 3 more go away, that marks the end of the first round. So rounds can be pretty quick in this game. All right, so let's go to the next AI action. So they are going to move to the bottom over here. So again, they have 2 choices. They can move here first and then move over, or they can move here first and then move up. So they're going to the same place I'm at. We're going to just put them over there, and we are allowed to share space, no problem. We are going to put a qubit, doesn't matter right now. I don't know where I'm going to go. I guess I should theoretically if I'm playing to my maximum ability. Actually, let's go ahead and put it in Sol Angeles, because this project card right here is telling me it wants me to build a hub in Sol Angeles. And remember, if you build the hub, you collect all that income at the end of the phase, which seems pretty good thing to do. All right, so let's look at the AI. Again, they're going to do the highest number thing they're allowed to do. Well, they're going to try to collaborate in that city, and they can do it this time. So why can they do it? Well, we'll see in a second. So it's R+1, so round +1. They can put 2 cubes in there. So the first thing they are going to do is put a scientist on this space. Now again, they don't have scientists, but they can just pull from the supply. And then they're going to cover up this space and this space here. Now they're not getting resources or anything like that, but they are blocking us from getting resources when they do that. So they are going to take those 2 resources and basically block us out of that for this turn. Now, one nice part is, since I have control of this city right now, this will be worth victory points for me at the end of the game. But they did get to put a scientist down, so they do get 2 victory points for that. And that is basically the collaborate action, which we didn't cover at the beginning of the game, but that's basically what you do too. You put your workers out there, you're going to get victory points for them, and then you get to put cubes out to receive those resources from the supply. So that is an example of collaborate. And the only other thing we didn't cover is raise funds. Again, get 3 money, and you do one of these cards down here. So many different options throughout the course of the game. All right, so the question is, there's a qubit here now. So maybe I want to keep collecting cards for a minute and get this qubit, or build my project down there. Let's see what building that project does. So again, Sol Angeles, that's receive 4 money. And you'll notice there's a lightning bolt and a hand. That means immediately receive 4 qubits, and during the income phase every round receive 4 more qubits. That is too good to pass up. So I'm going to move over here. Again, it's only moving 1 space, so it's free. I collect the card there, and I'm going to play this Sol Angeles card to build this hub here. And hopefully I have the resources now that I think about it. So yes, you can use any resource you want. So clearly I'm going to use the green resource. And again, to use a resource, you pay it by moving one of your qubits into that spot. So I have now paid that resource, and I get to build my hub. First thing you do is put your building there, and the bonus for building the hub is you collect all the money on that space. Well, only 1 money right now, but that's a nice way to get money in the middle of a turn if you need to do so. So I place the building, I receive the construction bonus. Now I am going to complete a project. When I complete this project, it is taking up 1 of my spots, but I do get to immediately, again, the lightning bolt means immediately, collect 4 qubits, and again, that hand under it means income phase. Every time during the income phase, I am going to collect 4 qubits just for having this card here. Sweet. So 4 more qubits. Oh my gosh. I am rolling in the qubits. I don't know that I've ever seen this many qubits at the beginning of the game. So let's see. After completing a project, receive a victory point and another qubit, by the way. So don't forget to take your victory points and qubits from your bonuses over here. Don't forget to do it for, after I did not move up the blue track at all. I did do that, but I did not do this either. All right. So again, pay attention to all your cards afterwards because they might trigger something. But that is literally all I do on my turn, and I am done constructing another place. So back to the AI turn. And again, this marker just passes to people to mark who the active player is. So you always know who it is. All right, so they're going to move up 1 space, and then they're going to shuffle the deck when they are done with this. So they're going to move up 1. Oh, they're encroaching in on my territory over here. I don't know if I like that. So the first thing they do is construct. So they construct a large, you'll notice, and it says minimum, so the lowest numbered large that they can do. Well, there's only 1 large here. It's this one in their current city, so they will go ahead and do that, and then discard the leftmost. Oh, Then they get 8 victory points. So they're up to 16. And they discard the leftmost subsidy. So they are going to push us through this deck as well. There's only 2 cards left. Once those are gone, end of the first round. All right, back to our turn. And hopefully you're getting a sense for how the game's played now. Like I said, it looks way more confusing than it is by a lot. All right, so the question is, so we got Space Francisco. So for area control, just for those purposes at the end of the game, I have 1-2 to controlling this city, and they have 1. So I definitely want to get in there and build more stuff. Now, did they build the place that this building wants them to build? They sure as heck did. So this card is only useful for building anything basically in New York City at this point. So I'm not going to get to use it as a project, which I was kind of hoping to get those advancements up the red track. But that's okay. Let's look at building the wolf. I think I want to build this wolf. Yeah, that's pretty far from me though. So maybe I just go up to Space Francisco and see if I can build something there. Well, I know I'm not going to be able to build this scientific center in New York City anymore. So maybe I just build it here. That's another thing to do. Although I'm starting to think I want to start collecting some resources too. Now they built here. So what will this do? So when you put cubes here, you're going to get something. So here you pay a cubit to get a victory point. So these are victory point collecting spaces. These just get me trade in engineers for scientists, which is kind of useful because they require a lot of scientists here, but they're not getting me resources. I want to start getting resources, and I specifically want to start getting these purple resources over here. So maybe I go build over there, or I could flip around over here. Ooh, there's 3 spaces over here. Now, how much does that building cost to build, and do I have a card that would even let me do it? So as you can see, there's a lot to think about on your turn. Well, I don't have a card that would let me build there, and I don't have a city that would let me build there. So wolf over here I could build. I want to build that. That wouldn't be too bad. So I could do that there. Or what kind of building is this? So this has got that symbol. Let's see. I don't have any of that symbol, and I don't have any Star Vegas cards. All right. So I am running out of luck, but I have a lot of cubits, so I could end up over here and try to build. No, but I don't have that card again. Yeah, so trying to get purple resources at this point isn't going to happen because I don't have. Oh, I do have a wolf card, so I could get there using the wolf card. All right, I'm going to do it. All right, so I'm going to move 1, 2, 3 to get up over there. I draw this card. Probably won't even end up having the resources to do it, but that's okay. We'll see if I do or not. But I'm going to try, gosh darn it. So I moved over there. That I do have to drop a cubit off on those 2 spaces that I didn't go to. And again, I could have gone a different way, chose not to. But let's go ahead and drop cubits along the way as I move to get over here. All right, so I do have a wolf card over here. Now, again, it is the hub that it wants me to build, and I'm not planning on building the hub in this situation. I'm planning on building this building here. So let's look at the sheet and see what that building is. So it's a helium facility, and it requires blue and green resources. Well, guess what? I got both of those. Boom, boom. Yes, indeedy. All right, so I'm going to pay those 2 resources to build that helium facility. And I'm going to go ahead and put it. It is a small building, so let's go ahead and grab a small building and put it over here in that helium facility. Sweet. All right, so the next thing I get to do is get the construction bonus. So helium facility says you get to move up on either track, your choice, and you get a HE3. So to get that, I'm just going to take this off. I don't get a money in this situation, so I just take it off the board and put it back in the supply. But I do have that resource now, which is good because remember, Earth wants us to ship that stuff back at the end of each round. So it's good. It's good to have that. Good to have HE3. So do I want to move up on the red or the blue track? So what are the bonuses for each? If I move up on the red track or orange track over here, I guess, I get some engineers right away and I get a victory point at the end of the game. Here, it's going to get me a scientist income every turn. Now, right now, I already get an engineer income. This will get me a scientist income, and it'll jump me up 3 victory points. Now, here also is getting me closer to unlocking another project spot, which I really want. That's a tough choice, but I'm going to move up on this track, settling for the scientist income. Nah, I have time for that. We're actually 2 of the 4 cards are gone. We're halfway through the round, but that's all right. I'm going to take my 2 engineers, go up the orange track. I really want to unlock more project spots at this point. I get 2 engineers over here. And those might come in handy here pretty soon. All right, so that is me building there. And let's see. So I built there. Do any of these things trigger? This, no. After construction, receive 2 for each step you advanced. And then this one says after completing a project. So I didn't move up on the blue track, so I don't receive 2 money. Again, this is actually going to end up being a subsidy. So I actually am pushing through the round myself. So I could receive a green resource. I could return 2 those to receive 2 of any of these in any combination. That's pretty good, but it is returning 2 workers. Return 1 of these to receive 5 money. Well, I don't need money. I'm actually going to do this one. This wants me to return any 2 to receive any 2 resources. So I'm going to push back. I think I'm going to do engineers. Let me see. This place needs engineers. This place needs scientists. Yeah, so I'm going to put, oh, well, I need 2 engineers for here. So I'm going to, yeah, I can put back 2. So I'm going to put back 2 engineers, and I'm going to receive 2 resources of my choice. I'll take one of these red resources right here. And what's the thing I'm planning on producing? Let's see what I'm going to think I'm going to need. Blue and green resources to produce this. I got this big thing here, so blue and red. So let's take a blue. Looks like a lot of stuff that I want requires some blue. All right, so those are the 2 resources I got for returning the 2 workers. And now I see if any of my projects go. This one doesn't go off. After construction, receive 2. It didn't move up on the blue. And this says after you completed a project. Well, I did not complete a project, so I'm done. Back to the AI turn. Now we are supposed to shuffle up their deck. Let's go ahead and do that. And we're going to flip over the next card. They want to move down to the bottom here. So back to my place. They'll go ahead and drop off a cubit there as they pass by. We'll do that. And then they are down here now. Now, what do they want to do when they're there? They want to put a one of their AI things on it to start taking control. So my hub here now is sad because now we are tied 1-1. So we'll split the points at the end of the game. And then they want to collaborate if there is space for at least 2. Well, there is not. There's, again, we've talked about this before. They can only do basically the building basic resource. So they're going to do the bottom. They're going to settle with 2 and put another one on there. So there aren't places for them to settle. So they're just going to do that as much as possible, which means they're going to put an AI token on there. Because there are no places for their people to settle on this building. So, yep. They couldn't collaborate, so they just put 2 AI tokens there, which is sad. Now they will take control of it. Although, to be honest, this planet's not worth... Oh, it is worth 1 because of my building there at the end of the game. So we'll look at endgame scoring real quickly, just so we understand how that happens. So when you're scoring cities at the end of the game, you're going to get 1 for each engineer in the city, 2 for each scientist, so the same amount as the person who put them on the board got, and 1 victory point for each building. So looking back at this location right now, if it was the end of the game, they'd have 2 control over the city, I'd have 1, and they would be 1 building in there, so this city would be worth 1 victory point. Of course, as you get more bigger cities with, people on it, so this is worth 2, 3 victory points right here at the end of the game. So as you see, it builds and builds as the game goes on, where you're going to get more and more victory points. By the end of the 3rd round, they'll be worth quite a bit of victory points even. All right, so they are done their turn, so we are going to take control again, and it's going to be our turn. So you'll see turns can move pretty quickly. So let's see what I'm going to do for my next turn. We're going to do something new here. We're going to do the collaborate action. So collaborate, you saw the AI do it, but let's see us do it. So first thing we can do is put our workers down on building sites here. So since this building is constructed, we can put those 2 workers down, and they are engineers, so they are each worth 1 victory point, so we get 2 victory points there. 1, 2. And then we can use all these buildings. So how do you use them? And this is the very, very clever part about the game. And this is why blank spots equal having a resource, not the other way around. We're going to take the cubes from these resources and put them here, marking that we have used those spots. So now you'll notice it is cleared up 2 spots here. I just love how that works. And then the last thing we can do, as a reminder, you can do the basic resource for the planet always also. So I'm going to do that. There is no limit to the amount of spaces you can do when you take this action to collaborate. So that's how you gain more resources. So you've seen 99% of the game. I mean, literally the only thing you haven't seen is how we do raise basic funds, and literally you just take 3 money and then you use any of the cards down here, and that's it. So that is our turn. Boom, boom, done. We got our 2 victory points for putting those down. And that is it. All right, so the AI is going to take their turn. Where are they going next? So they're moving up a couple spaces. So they're going to go 1, 2. Again, it doesn't matter how they get there. There's a card there now still, so a project card, so they're going to discard that. They do have to pay their qubit for going through this space. And we will do the top card. So the first thing we want to do is the smallest large building site available. So there's only one large building site available here, and that's going to be this one, so they construct that. Then they're going to get 8 victory points. Oh my gosh. Next thing they're going to do is discard the leftmost subsidy card. Uh-oh. That means end of the round. As soon as this deck, subsidy deck, is empty, it marks the end of the round. So let's go ahead and check and see what we do at the end of the round. So we just finish up the action phase, and when it says once the subsidy deck is empty, and after the last player's turn for the third round. So again, we do get even turns, but once the deck is empty, which it is right now, we go to the income phase. So you clear the basic resources first. So what does that mean? Remember when we produced basic resources at this place, is you clear them by putting them in the transit tax box. So that's the first step of doing this. So any basic resources that were produced, we move to the transit box. All right, now that's done. Then collect your building income, and then we're going to use these hand income icons. All right, so who collects building income? Well, let's look. Anywhere where there's buildings, all right, this building is my color, so I own that building. Even though he is the one who put the engineers there, I own it, so I get these 2 qubits. So again, very clever how they go from generating resources to then coming back as income for whoever built the building. So not only does this help me with area control, but it also helps me with resource production as well, which is pretty nifty. All right, so this building is also mine, so I get this qubit here. More money, more money, more money. Now, if there was anything in this transit tax box, I would get it because I control the hub, but there is none. This money just sits here because nobody controls those hubs, and AI does not control any buildings that had income on it. If they did, you would just delete them. You would just get rid of them. They wouldn't go anywhere. All right, so that is the income phase, but then we're looking for income stuff. Guess what? We received 4 qubits because of this project here. Man, we are rolling in it. Rolling in the money. We are not rolling in the victory points with our 3 victory points, but we're rolling in the money. We're rolling in something at least. All right, so to the shipment phase. So first thing you must do is do a mandatory shipment. We already talked about mandatory shipments. There are none for round 1. Next thing we would do is look on this track here. Whoever is higher up on this track ends up getting to buy first. So you're going to buy from here. Now, there are also ways to get these cards into your hand, like by passing this space here. You actually get a personal delivery in your hand. You would do those after all purchasing of these is done. So let's look. I actually do have quite a few. So what's worth the most victory points is this one right here. This is worth 4 victory points. This is worth 3 and gives you 2 money. I don't really need money right now. Kind of need this. Now this is end game scoring, so you're not going to do it, show it right now, but I'm going to go ahead and take this. So this is a red and a purple resource to get this, and so I would put this on the spot right here. I have to pay a red and a purple resource. Now again, you have to pay it with qubits. So I'm ending up spending money to do it as well. So qubits are important to have because anytime you want to pay a resource for anything, you do that. Now that's going to be worth 4 victory points at the end of the game, but that's hidden victory points. So that just stays hidden over there. Now, for the AI, what do? They just look at the one worth the most victory points and they just take it. Sorry, Charlie. Done. Out. All right. So this one's worth 2 victory points. This is worth 1 and 2 qubits. But again, money's not an issue for me. This costs a purple. This costs 1 of anything. So the nice part is I can spend anything. But honestly, purple is the only thing I really don't care about right now. So I'm going to go ahead and just take this. This is worth 2 victory points at the end of the game. Boom. Done. Now I got to pay for it with my purple. Boom. And I still have 1 HE3 left over for next round. Now the AI is just going to take the next one. If we couldn't afford any or if we didn't want to purchase any, the AI would just take all of the ones that are left. So AI, make sure you have stuff for these end around things because the AI is going to take them if you don't. All right, so that is that. We don't need these face up anymore. Typically, you wouldn't even put them face up. You would draw them into your hand and select one secretly so other players wouldn't know what they were. But again, in the solo game, doesn't really matter. All right, so let's continue with the end of the round stuff. So we did these scheduled shipments were those. Then unscheduled shipments, again, would be any of those that you had in your hand you can now pay for and get victory points for. So now we're to the cleanup phase. First thing we do is rebuild the subsidy deck. So in order to do that, we just collect all the cards, shuffle them up, and we're going to put cards equal to the number of players over here. And then we're going to fill up the subsidy track again. So always going to be 4 for each round. Oh! Gotta move the round marker too. That might be a step on here. Maybe I jumped the gun there. No, I didn't. Then we're gonna add 1 project card face up to each city on the board. You know what? They have a prepare new round button. I'm just gonna do that. The next thing we would do is add workers to our supply equal to wherever we are on this track over here. So if you'll notice here, I don't get any scientists, unfortunately, because I'm just 1 short. But if you notice here, I am in this space where I get 1 engineer. So let's go ahead and collect that. And then last but not least, the last thing we do is re-add to the pool based on the number of players. So you'll notice in a 1 and 2 player game up here, you're going to add 4 of them to the pool. So there's more based on the number of players. There's going to be more of these projects for the end of the round, but it gives you an idea of what they are going to be looking for at the end of the round. So a little bit of foreplanning there. All right, so let's get right back to it, and you just keep playing right back to the action phase. So let's get started. So these are now clear, so I could actually produce again while I'm here. It might not be the worst thing. So I'm not going to move. I'm just going to collect this New York City card right where I am, which is sweet because I want to go there next. And I am just going to produce this turn. I'm going to produce 2 of the HE3 resources while I am here. Now the only negative part is I didn't get to put any workers down, which is a little bit sad, but that's okay. And I get to produce a green resource, which doesn't make me too sad either. So producing resources, interestingly, doesn't cost you money, but using those resources does. So it's a little bit of something that you wouldn't expect, but it works. It just works. It makes the game flow so nicely and easily. But again, we'll talk about that with our end game discussion. So you're going to move to the place with the most buildings, the nearest if tied clockwise. Okay, so this place has 2 buildings, and so that is the place with the most buildings. So to get there, they're going to go 1, 2. And they will drop a new qubit over here, paying their transient tax, because that's what they do. That's what we do too. Everybody has to pay taxes. Gotta do it. Gotta do it. All right, so they're going to build in the largest space possible. I think there was only 1 large there, so they are not going to build that, so they go to the next one. Then they collaborate if there is space for at least R qubits. Well, there is. This is round 2, so there needs to be at least space for 2 qubits. There sure as heck is. So first thing you're going to do, and this is unfortunate, because I was actually planning on doing this, putting all these scientists down that I have sitting here, that's what happens when you snooze. Does not end up working out for you a lot of times. So they're going to get a lot of victory points for this. They're going to get 2, 4, 6, first of all, for putting those scientists down. Ooh, that one hurts a little bit. Then they are also, on top of that, going to use up all these resource spaces. Now the nice part is I do get some income from it. The bad part about it is, man, that makes me sad. Now, at the end of the game, these are going to be worth victory points for me, potentially. So that's good, because right now I have control over it. And I'm going to try to really secure my position there. I've got a couple of New York City cards here, including this one that I just got to build a factory there. So how much does a factory cost to build? That gets me up on the red track, and it costs me a red. Do I have a red resource? I sure don't. So, is there any place... Oh, I could have actually, if I'd been smart, gone there and produced there and gotten some red resources, but I didn't. So right now I don't have a way to get red resources unless I come up here and do that up here. Is there any place that produces red? I guess this does. So let's look. If I come up here, but to produce that factory, I think I need red again, right? No, this is a different building. I'm sorry. Yeah, so this is this building, but it costs a blue and a red. So yes, I will require a red. So you know what I'm going to do? Doesn't seem like the smartest move, but I'm just going to move up here, and I'm going to go back and do another, collaborate action. And I'm just going to collaborate for that 1 red resource on here and put that there. And that's going to be my whole turn. Let's go back to the AI turn. Sometimes you just need that resource. All right, so they're going to go right back where I just was. What are they going to do? They're going to collaborate if there's room, but we know there's not. If not, they're going to construct a small building in the biggest one, because it says maximum. So in the biggest, highest numbered small building space, that's this space right here. They go ahead and build. They get 5 victory points, glory points, whatever you want to call it, and they discard the leftmost one of these, which gets us closer to the end of the round. All right, so back to my turn. Now I could build this here. Now that moves me up on the red track, right? Let me see something. So if I move up on the red track, it does unlock the new project space. So actually, if I build this here, and it gets me some green resources later, what does it? Receive 1 blue resource for each one of those you have during income. And I have 1 right now. Interesting. All right, let's see if I can unlock that by moving up the orange track. Will that move me up the orange track building, that building there? It will move me up twice on the orange track. Heck yes, I'm going to do that. All right, so let's play this Jansen card right here. We're going to use that to build in the Jansen place. All right, so that requires a blue and a red first. So we got to pay our resources. 1 blue, 1 red. That is a large building. Dun, dun, dun. And you'll see again, the space is a little bit larger, but matches the symbol there. All right, so now we are done with the paying the cost of it, placing the building. So now we get the benefits. 2 moves up the red track. Heck yeah. So the first one unlocks it, and the second one is going to give us a card from here, and that's a personal delivery we can make at the end of the round. We can do it this round, next round. Oh, that gives us 5 money and 2 victory points at the end. So if there are no more cards here we want to do, we can always do this as an additional option. So we move 2 spaces up the red track there. Don't forget to unlock one of our project spots, which we're going to need here in 2 seconds. So we unlock that spot there. And then we complete the project. So we complete the project, put this card here, and this says during our income phase, we're going to receive blue resources. Hallelujah. That is pretty awesome. In addition to the 4 qubits we receive after construction step, I didn't move up the blue track, so I don't worry about that. But after completing a project, I receive 1 victory point. I did do a project and a qubit. Boom. There's my qubit. So always have to pay attention to your board after you complete a project or at the end of your turn just to see if you did any of this stuff. By the way, did I do this? I did not construct either of those building types, so I don't get to do that. So that's the end of my turn. Back to the AI turn. Let's see what they're going to do. So they're going to move down 1 and then shuffle the deck. But Ink, oh man, they really are trying to wrestle control of that out of me. So they're going to construct a large building if there is a space for them, which there is not. So we skip that instruction, move to the next one. Collaborate. If you put less than R there, do the instruction below. Well, they already collaborated here, so nope, they're not doing that either. So discard the central S and put down an AI token there. All right, so now we're tied for control on this city, which is real bad because that's worth a lot of victory points right now. And which one? I think they said the central one, right? Yep, the central subsidy card. So they are rushing the game as well because there's only 2 of these subsidy cards left. I don't know if that I like that. In fact, I'm positive I do not like that. So I'm going to come down here and I want to build something. So I got a couple Nova York City things, but see, I'm back to the same situation where I don't have any red. So what can I build in Nova York City? I can build this, which would let me get red. I could also just, now do I have engineers? I don't. I only have 1 engineer, so that's not real useful. I could put 1 engineer here, produce this. I already produced the red here, so that doesn't even help. I do want to go back down to New York. Or Nova York, I'm sorry, and I do have to pay a qubit to transient tax to move through there. So let's see, what are the 2 different buildings? So I got this round one and I got this one here. Let's see what the cost for those are. So this round one costs a blue and moves me up the red track. And the other one was, which one was the other one? That building with the smokestack on top, which is this one, which cost me a red. Again, I don't think I have the red, which also moves me up the red. So I'd have to do the blue one. What does a move up the red get me? Well, it gets me 6 victory points and 3 engineers at the next production phase and 1 step closer to unlocking another project. So we're going to go ahead and do that. This space has already been used, right? We're at Nova York City, so I can use it to build in Nova York City, but this space is already used, so this project card is never going to be able to complete the project there. So I'm just going to use it to build in New York City, wherever I want. Well, wherever I want is the only place I can afford to do, which is this round space here, which costs me a blue resource. So I'm going to go ahead and pay the blue resource. I'm going to build here. Yes, giving me control of this area again. And then I get to bump up 1 on the red track, which again gives me no immediate bonus, but gets me closer to unlocking and is going to get me 3 engineers instead of 2 at the end of the round. All right, I can't complete the project, so I'm going to discard that card and take a subsidy. So let's see what these subsidy bonuses are. Again, I don't necessarily want the money. All right, so return an engineer to the supply, to the reserve, and get 5 money. I don't need that. So blue and a money or a green. Let's look where I'm at. I don't need green, so I'm definitely going to take the blue and the money. Faux show. All right, so that's a blue and a money. And again, it can always just take 2 qubits also if I want to do that. Now we are again dangerously close to the end of round 2. You can see this game can speed through. We are done with our action there. Let's go back to the AI's turn. And AI should have shuffled when they were done. We'll do that now. The nice part is the top card kind of reminds you that all the time. Let's see where they go. They're going to go 1 space down again and shuffle again. So they're going to go 1 space down, take this project card away. Let's see what they do here. Hopefully nothing too painful. So you collaborate. If there's R+1 spaces available, there sure is. So they're going to go ahead and use these. Oh, R+1. There are not, because we're round 2 right now, and there would only be 2 spaces available. So no, they don't do that. Instead, they're going to construct a small building on maximum, so on the biggest one. Biggest small building space available, which is here. And they're going to get 6 victory glory points, which makes me sad. And then we're going to shuffle their deck. We'll remember to do it now. All right, let's go ahead and take our turn now. This is a thing. I've been needing red resources for a while. If I do that, I can even build this New York City thing next and just kind of be here. So maybe I do that. So I'm going to go ahead and collaborate again. So to collaborate, I'm going to put my engineer down. Sad for me that I can't put more than that down, but I'm going to go ahead and get my 1 victory point for putting that engineer down. And then I'm going to produce that red resource. So we'll take it from here and go here. Unfortunately, all the other spots are blocked up. Too bad, so sad. I feel like I've taken a bunch of just bad turns this game, and I feel like that's going to come back to bite me. I really need to get, I've got these scientists on my board from the beginning. I really need to get them out on the board. But it's not my turn, not my choice. I don't get to do any of that right now. All right, so he's going to move pretty far. He's going to move 1, 2, 3 to get over here. Over here. So he's going to drop some qubits along the way. So let's go ahead and do that. I don't own any of these, so he doesn't mind dropping at either of these. Remember, the first move was free. Then he had to pay 1 to each of the spots that he moved through. So he is going to collaborate for R+1. Again, it would be 3. Yes, he can do that. Oh, and that's a spot that's got 2 scientists. Brutal. So that's going to be 4 points right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. You are getting a lesson today in how not to play this game, apparently. Then he's going to put some qubits down. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3 cubes to, he would produce those resources. So just so you know, when you produce on like these science spaces here, there's this little science symbol. In order to do that, I would have to pay with my qubits, which I got a ton of. I got plenty of to pay with. But then you get this benefit here. So if I paid here, I would get to discard an engineer to get a victory point. So those places are mostly victory point gaining places. Sometimes it's changing engineers to scientists. But yeah, I'd really like to get here, build this, and just drop my scientists here. So hopefully I can do that. Let's see. So that's wolf. I don't have any wolf, but can I build that building? So what is this science building here? It is that looking thing. I don't have one in my hand. So is there a place on the board where I can either find a wolf or where I can find that type of a building? That's this one here has it. Where else has it? No place else has it. I'm just going to pay my 1 qubit to go over here. Grab this card, and I still don't even know what I am going to do because I got to pay 1 qubit to this place. maybe it'd be worth building a hub here too. I mean, I got so many qubits, it doesn't seem to matter at this point. So let's see if I can build something here. Let's see. So this is Sol Angeles. Do I have any Sol Angeles card? I do not. But let's see what cards I do have. I can build either one of those factories, one of these things that look like, I don't know, space heads to me, or that building there. So I can build the space head thing here, and I can build the factory here. So which is more important to me? Let's see what track I'm trying to get up here. I really, really would like to move up this track to get free scientists every turn. Of course, this one unlocks another project space for me. Well, I'm not doing a project now, so it doesn't really matter. So blue track seems more important. That also gets me 2 qubits for all it's worth as well. All right, so let's see. Do I want to build a factory or this space head looking thing? It looks like a G.I. Joe helmet to me. I don't know why. This thing. So research station. Do I want to build that or a factory? So again, I said I want to move up the blue track if I am not mistaken. Yeah, I want to move up the blue track because that gets me closer to getting R2 cards too. So yeah. All right. So my goal is to move up the blue track. So I want to build this spacehead research station looking thing. So that cost me a green resource, which is great because I got a ton of those. So there's a green resource. Oops. Done. Then I take this building and I go ahead and put it in that. And as a reminder, now that I think about it, that is one of the buildings I'm trying to construct. So I'm going to put an AI module there when we get to the end of the round as well. But first things first, after we pay all the costs, we move up the blue income track. Boom, boom, boom. 1 spot, that's 3 more victory points, and I'm going to get a scientist every turn. That's not a terrible thing to have happened. Now, I don't get to do the project. Oh, I got to decide which card. So do I want Sol Angeles or Space Francisco? Well, are either of them already covered? So here's Space Francisco. No, it's not there. And I got 2 Space Francisco cards. So yeah, let's get rid of Sol Angeles. All right, so that lets me build there, which means I'm going to get a subsidy card, which means it's going to be the end of the round. By the way, also, I just realized that is going to be the last thing we do this round, but that's okay. All right, I get this space here. So what does that get me? That moved me up the blue track already. So I already got that benefit. There was nothing on there. So I also get to do my subsidy now, and then I'll do my end of construction phase stuff. So which of these is the most important to me? Purple. I got a lot of purple over here. I don't need that. I might take the green resource, or I can return one of those to get 5 qubits. I really don't need qubits. So I'm going to get the green resource. As a reminder again, it doesn't go to my qubits pool this time because I don't get a qubit. It just goes away. All right, so that is done, but now this is empty, so that signifies the end of the round. But I still have to do my end of construction stuff. So I get this. I moved up 1 on the blue track. So I am going to get 2 qubits. Then, after completing a project, I didn't complete a project, so I don't get anything there. Wah, wah. All right, so that is, oh, no, I get this one. That's the one I get. After constructing one of those buildings, put an AI module in the city. All right, so now this city is hotly contested because I got 1, 2, 3 control points there to their 1, 2. I'm not going to complain about that. All right, so it is the end of the round. It's the end of the round as we know it. All right, so let's just remind ourselves we're going to do income, then we're going to do shipment, then cleanup. I'm going to do them kind of quickly here. So first thing for income, you move all these things off of here into there. Income, 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 gone. This is gone. This goes to here. All right, now he controls these, so I'm just going to delete them. They go away. This one I control, so I get these 2 as monies. Let's see. There's nothing on any of the buildings here. Nothing here, nothing here. This is my building, so that's a qubit I get. So again, whoever produces there gets the good, but you get the qubit for it at least. I mean, I do have quite a bit of money now, though, and I don't believe money is victory points at the end of the game, but we can check really quickly. So end of the game scoring, we get points for controlling cities, we get points for industrial and science tracks, depending on where we are. We talked about that. Fulfillment of shipping contracts, we talked about that. Points from specific at the end of the game effects, we talked about that. All available resources in storage, and qubits in your supply, and number of projects and shipment contracts in your hand. add up everything and divide by 3. So actually you get points for these cards in your hand as well, which is kind of cool. So you add it all up and divide by 3 though. So it's worth 1/3 of a point. So having extra stuff isn't bad at the end. Victory point tokens collected during the course of the game. Subtract 5 if you didn't complete the mandatory shipments. And the player with the highest victory points wins. Okay, so that's end of game scoring. Just as a reminder, before we go into that last round, I always love to remind myself and remind players I'm playing with of what the end of the game scoring is before you quite get there. Now, we are still in the income phase because we have to collect anything with a hand under it over here. So first thing we do is we collect 4 more cubits. As we know, that's 1 1/3 victory points. And then we receive 1 blue resource for each of these cards we have. Well, we only have 1, but hey, I'll take a resource. And again, that doesn't go into our cubit supply. It just goes away back to the general supply. All right, so we receive that. Anything else we get at the end of the round? No more little hand icons under it. So we move on. Next thing we're going to do is shipment phase. So first we got to do our mandatory shipment. Well, let's go ahead and do that. We got to pay 1 purple this round. Just as a reminder, we look here, it's a purple. Now whoever's highest up on this track gets to move first. And ties are broken, by the way, in this situation by last player marker. So whoever's the last player would get to go first if you're tied on the height on this track. And then it goes in counterclockwise order from the last player. So whoever is tied would get to buy first in this space. So it's another reason to push up the orange track over here. So which of these do I want to buy? This seems to be the cheapest for 4 victory points because this requires 2 purple. Not doing that. So a purple and a green to get 4 victory points and 2 cubits seems like a good thing to do. So let's pay our purple and our green, both of which are resources that I am not necessarily abundant in, but I got some. So that's not bad. So there's my purple and my green. I do get 2 cubits for doing that. So again, you have to be able to pay the cost to do it. But once you do, you get what's on the bottom and you'll see it's upon shipment, get 2 cubits. So I do that. Done. All right, so now the AI purchases the most expensive or the most victory point one. They get this one. So can I buy this 3 one? It requires a purple and a red. I can. Question is, do I want to? Red is kind of expensive for me. So if I lose out on 1 victory point to do blue instead. Oh no, they're both worth 3 victory points. I just lose out on 1 money. Oh, I don't care about it money. Is blue more plentiful? It sure is. So I'm going to pay a purple and a blue instead to get this, again, 3 victory point card, but it's only 2 money. I mean, only. As if I need more cubits. I got cubits coming out of my ears over here. And then they get this victory point card for the end of the game. And that is the end of round 2. Oh, no. Well, we do our cleanup stuff. So we're just going to resupply everything. There is a button that does it for us. So I love that. I'm going to do it. The only other thing that it doesn't do, so preparing around puts those out, puts these out. It doesn't put these out. So we'll do that. Remember, put number of players over here. And in a solo game, it counts as 2. Put these down here. And then we get our workers based on here. So I'm going to get 3 orange and 1 blue workers. So 3 engineers, 1, 2, 3, and 1 scientist. And I got scientists coming out of my ears. All right, so that is the end of the round. I triggered the end of the round, so the AI is going to go first. See where they move. So they move down here. They take as little steps as possible, and they're going to pay their transit tax over here. As they move down, they do take this card off of the space that I am on. Sad, but true. All right, so they do that. And what are they going to do over here? They're going to construct the largest place and get 9 victory points. Oh my gosh. So they construct this, and they get 9 victory points. This is not looking close right now, by the way. 54-5. Well, I'm going to hopefully change that at least a little bit right here. Because I got all these workers here. It doesn't make any sense for me to do anything except put out my workers right now. Now, we are tied for this. So I'm also going to try to build a building here at some point. But I'm not going to take the chance that they are going to stay here and build that. Now, I don't think they have too many stay in their own space spots. but I'm not gambling on that. I'm just going to put my people down now. So this action again is called collaborate. You get to put your people down, score points for them. So that's 1 point, 2 points, 3, 4 points, 5, 6 points. So I over doubled my score with that move right there. Yay! All right, then I'm going to put my stuff out. So I get to produce a blue resource. I get to produce 3 purple resources, which feels real good because as a reminder, the mandatory shipment at the end of the round is 2 purple. You get -5 victory points if you can't do it. Now, do I want to pay? So I got to pay a cubit for this space here because it's a science one. And then I can pay 3 cubits for 2 victory points. I mean, I got so many cubits. All right, so I'm going to put 1 cubit here. And then I'm going to pay 3 cubits. So that means just 1, 2, 3 cubits to get 2 victory points. I mean, that seems worthwhile, right? 1, 2. I don't know. I mean, it's certainly better than the 1 victory point they would have given me. So, all right, I'll take it. All right, so that is the end of my turn. That's all I get to do. So back to them. They are going to, well, they're moving. They're on the move. They're going to go 1, 2, 3 up to here. Take this project card away. Dropping cubits as they go. Ba-dink, ba-dink. And now they are going to construct the largest place they can. Can they construct a large place? They certainly can. And they are also limited by the number of buildings, as are we throughout the course of the game. They do that, though, and then they get 8 victory points. Sure they do. And then they're going to discard the leftmost subsidy card. All right, that's only the first one gone this round, though. So that's all right. All right, do I want to start building in Sol Angeles? I'd like to get control back of this place because this is worth a lot of victory points. So right now they got 1, 2, 3 to my 1, 2, 3. I'd love to build here. So let's see if I can build either of these spots here. So I need this building or this building type. I do have those. So New York City, no, that place is actually still available there. I don't think I'm going up to Lynn Garden. Where's Lynn Garden? That's over here. Nah, they have control of that. Oh, although I'd split control of it if I went there. New York City, I'm up by 1 building in New York City. Oh man, this game's full of a lot of tough choices. That is for sure. I'm going to go ahead and use my Lynn Garden one. So where did I say I was building? Oh, I said I want to build here because this is worth quite a few victory points. All right, so I'm going to use this. But New York City, I just want to make sure I get control of that because that's going to be worth a lot too. So worst case scenario, if they take this spot, I'll at least be able to build the hub here to get control back again. So I'm going to hold on to my New York City for that reason. All right, so I'm going to build right here. So I'm not moving anywhere from Sol Angeles. I'm going to build a factory here. That factory goes in this spot. And what does it cost to build a factory? You ask. It costs 1 red resource, and it bumps me up 1 on the red track. So let's go ahead and pay that 1 red resource. Let's go ahead and build that building in the factory spot, which gives me back control of this planet, which makes me happy. 1, 2, 3, 4 control points. There are 3. So I've got that now. Now I move 1 up on the red track. Boom, unlocking another project spot for me. So let's do that. Now, if I ever needed to play a project and didn't have a project spot, I could always replace one of these other ones. So it's not like you don't have any project spots if you already have them all filled. But if you want to do the project, you just have to replace one of your other ones, which feels a little bit like a waste to me, in all honesty. So I went up on the red track. I did that. I don't have this project, so I have to take a subsidy from here. Pay 2 to receive 2 scientists. Nah, maybe. Pay 2 to receive a red and a green. That seems more likely. Yep, I'm doing that. Pay 2 to receive a red and a green. So I'm paying 2, and then I get a red and a green. All that goes back to the general supply. And so that was my project. Then I look and see if any of this triggered. I did not complete a project, no. And I didn't move up the blue track, and I didn't build either of those type of buildings. So that was my turn. Back to the AI turn. And they are going to, did I refill this? No, I did not. So 2 more gone, and then it's the end of the round. Oh, stress. All right, so they're moving up here. Yeah, these rounds can boogaloogie along, that is for sure. All right, so they're doing that, and they're going to construct a large building if they can, which there are no large building spaces. These are all small buildings. Again, you can't exactly tell, but I hope they do something to differentiate those spaces more in the final version. I'm sure they will. I'm sure they'll get that feedback. So they can't construct a large building. So then they're going to collaborate. If you put less than R out there, so round 3, you also do the instruction below. Well, hopefully not. They are going to put out 2 of the engineers. 1, 2. Now that is my building, so they are giving me victory points at the end, but they are getting those right now. So it's just going to break even, really. Now if they put less than R, but they are not, because they are going to put all 3 of these down. And so they did not put less than R down. So we don't also do the instruction below. These AI cards are really intelligent. We'll talk about it at the end of the game, but it's really smart how they work. All right, let's go back to my turn. All right, I'd like to build a project. I could build this for a blue resource. I don't really need to, though. I got a lot of space for Francisco things. Maybe I just start building this up a little bit. I mean, I'd love to take this from them too, though. Lindgren. Well, I have building types, so I could build a factory here. Could do that. I could build this spaceport. Ooh, which gives me another control point too, because that's what my faction wants to do. All right, I'm going to start playing intelligently. I'm going to move 1, 2 up to here. Get this card. I do have to pay a cubit for moving through here for my tax. Now, I'm going to play this card, which wants to be played in Space Francisco, but that's okay. I'm going to play it here. It's not going to be a project, but I think it's going to work out better. So what do I got to pay for this? This research station costs a green, and it moves me up on the blue track. So it costs a green. Then I place the building down. Badink moves me up on the blue track. Badink, which gives me another scientist. Badink. Dink, dink. Dink, 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 dink. Now I'm going to move down here. And then I get one of these project cards, pay 3 to put another one on the current city. And again, I do have quite a few monies. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Pay 3 to put an AI module on my current city. So that's 1, that's 2, that's 3. I pay it back to the supply, and I get to put an AI module there. But now we do our end of construction stuff also. I get 2 because I moved up on the blue track. So let's go ahead and get 2 of those qubits back. I also do this, which is my AI module, because I built the specific kind of thing there that I like to build. Now, I did not complete a project, so I don't get to do this. And I'm losing out on some victory points here, but that's okay. I just took control of this city, and I have pretty strong control too. And that's worth 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 victory points at the end of the game. I think that was a good move, if I do say so myself. All right, let's do the AI turns. So they're going to move down to here. Badink, badink. Take this card away. Gone. And they are going to collaborate. If you put less than R, you also do the instruction below. All right, so they are going to go here, and they are going to put 1, 2 out. Wait, why wasn't there 1 here before? Probably should have been. I don't know what happened there. That's all right. Whatever. I think they did it anyway, not me. I don't know. I don't know what I was doing there. But anyway, there's an engineer. We're good. I think I used that last turn, actually. I think I should have cleared that this turn. Well, either way, they would have just filled all these spaces up, so it literally does not matter. So I think I did forget to clean that up. No, yeah, this definitely would have filled. I forgot to do that. So I would have actually had 1 more money from this place. They would have cleared these 2. Yeah, they would have collaborated on all those spots, so that would have been more, so we aren't going to do the thing below. All right, so that's a little bit of a break for us, because they filled up all these spaces here. Sorry about that, everybody. I should have collected this during my income phase. Messed that up, but that's all right. Okay, so back to our turn. Now that I've gotten that, I still have control of this. Let's go ahead and work on this one here. So I'm going to move down 1. Get that free move. I collect the card there. And then I'm going to do the space I'm going to do this to try to do the project. I don't even know what it is. Pay 2 or 6 to advance 1 or 2 steps up the blue track. Yes, please. All right. So can I afford to do this? So it's a big building. So I definitely have the big building space. Let's see what it costs. A red and a green. And I do have a red and a green. We are doing that for show. So that moves us up here. We paid for that. We put this big building here, which makes me happy. And we completed the project in the right city. So wait, first of all, that moves us up blue twice. So let's start there. I'm going to get one of these R cards, and I'm going to draw a project card from the deck. So I draw a project card from the top of the deck, just a random one, and I get to pick an R2 card because I advanced past that R2 space. So let's go ahead and see what our options are here. So this says when settling those guys, receive 3 victory points instead of 2. Okay, I have some scientists on my board. I got 3 of them. That wouldn't be terrible. I can either spend 0, 1, or 2 red, which I never have to get that during my income phase, so that doesn't seem likely. After construction, settle a blue on this card to a maximum of 5 during the game. And then I guess you're going to score points for this at the end of the game based on the number of blue you have here. All right, I couldn't find anything for it, but it makes too much sense. I mean, you're settling somebody on the card, so I'm gonna call this good. Oh, whenever you settle somebody, settle colonists, I don't think I get 2 points at the end of the game. I think I get them immediately for settling those people, because it doesn't say at the end of the game score. See, these cards up here say at the end of the game, you receive victory points for this kind of stuff. So no, but you do get to settle them, which scores you 2 victory points immediately. I'm pretty sure that's what it means. Okay, but then limit once per round. All right, so I built here. So this is now a completed project because I did it here. So I could choose to do a subsidy, but that rushes the end of the game, and I don't necessarily want that. So I'm going to do this as a project, and immediately I can pay 2 or 6 to advance 1 or 2 steps on the blue. I think I'm going to want to move 2 because I've got the 6. That would give me another scientist. It only gets me 1 more victory point though. Something to think about. Do I need the other scientists? I don't know that I do. I'm actually going to just pay 2 money. Who would have thought money's becoming an issue for me? To move up 1 step on the blue track. Oh, wait a minute. For this, after constructing, receive 2 for each step. Never mind. I'm going to pay 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I'm going to pay that extra money because I'm about to get all that extra money right back. Well, not all the extra money. You'll see. All right, so I move up 2 on the blue track. 1, 2. That gets me a scientist. Where are you, scientists? So that got me a scientist. And now it's the end of the construction phase. So I look at all my stuff. So after constructing, receive 2 money or qubits for each space you moved up on the blue track. I moved up 2. Actually, did I move up 4? Hold on a second. Because I built this building, right? I did. So I moved up 4. So I not only get 4 money there, I get 8 money. And by money, I mean qubits. Yeah, so that wouldn't have made any sense not to move up the other. I mean, I guess, theoretically. But no, that was great. All right. So cards like this are projects I can now replace easily because, again, they just gave me that one-time bonus, and now it's done. So if I want to do a project in the future, I don't need more space for it, which is the nice part about that. All right. So I did that, and then I am going to after completing a project, receive a victory point and a qubit. So let's get our qubit. Let's get our victory point. Then I'm going to do this one over here, and I can settle somebody on here. So when I settle one of those scientists, I get 2 points for settling them. So again, not endgame scoring, but I do get to settle them now. You do keep it there though, because you can only have up to 5. I don't think I'm completing 5 more projects before the end of the game. Considering there's literally 1 card left. So if they do this subsidy card this turn, game over. All right, let's see where they move to first. So they're moving over here. They're joining me over here. Oh no, don't build on my spot. You could put people down though. I'd love you to put some scientists. Well, I guess that just gets us even. collaborate, so they are going to put scientists down. If you put less than R, do the instructions below. Well, it's not going to be less than R. It's going to be exactly equal to the round number, because when they put 2 scientists out, badink, badink, then they're going to put these out. No, not there. Here. So they put exactly 3 out. Yeah, so they do get the 4 points for the scientists, which I had not given them yet, which would be cheating if I did not give them their victory points. All right, so if you put less than R, but they didn't put less than R, they put all 3 of them out. So that's awesome. Back to our turn. All right. I feel like I'm running out of turns here. I got scientists here, which makes me either want to... Ooh, I could put 3 scientists here, which would make these buildings worth more. The problem is that's giving them victory points. I don't know that I want to do that because that's end game scoring. So yes, it gives me 6 victory points right now, but it'll give them 6 victory points at the end of the game. Now, if I build something here, I could at least split the victory points with them, which means that I don't have to give it just to them. I could put a scientist here, which is my own spot, and get some resources. And if I pay a scientist and a cubit, get 2 victory points. That's actually not terrible. All right. Maybe I do this. This will let me turn engineers into cubits. Do I have... I only have 1. Huh. Still doesn't seem terrible. Yeah, let's do that, because that's also victory points for me at the end of the game, because I definitely have control of that. All right. So I'm going over here, and I, again, am doing the collaborate action. So when I do the collaborate action, I'm going to take 1 scientist, put them there. I get 2 victory points for that. I am now going to pay 2 money. Well, let's do them one at a time, I guess. First thing, let's produce a green resource, shall we? Yes, please, and thank you. Okay. Then I only have 1 engineer, so I'm gonna do that action once. So I'm not gonna get to fill both of the spots. I only get to fill 1, but that's fine. That's money going to that player, quote unquote. So I do have to pay an engineer to get a victory point. I mean, I also had to pay a money, but money, engineer, victory point, sure. Seems good. Although I used 2 resources to get a victory point, so maybe not. So now I get to pay a money here and another money and a cubit. I'm sorry. So I pay a money here to do this science action, but then I pay money and a scientist to get 2 victory points. To get 2 victory points. Worth it? I don't know. I think so. Feels good. I feel good about it anyway, even if it's not technically worth it. I don't know. I'm learning here with you all whether what I am doing is smart or not. We will see if it is. All right, AI's turn. Boom. Don't be the last turn. Don't be the last turn. All right, so they're going to move down to here. Now, they do not want to drop money here because that would give it to me, so they're going to take this way. They're just collecting these cards like crazy. Get out of here, card. They're going to drop a cubit on their way, paying their tax. So they're now down there. And they're going to collaborate if they can place R+1. So that would be 4 out. And they can. And they're going to do that, which is going to give them some victory points and me at the end of the game some victory points. So I'm not sad about that. So 1, 2. So they get 2 victory points. 1, 2. And then they're going to put cubits out on the basic resource, on my science place here, and on these 2 spots. All right, there's all that. So back to my turn. Can I do any cool projects? Any cool projects that get me victory points would be even better. Ooh, let's start looking at like end of game stuff here. What am I gonna need? I need lots of resources. I could actually turn my money, because I can do this card in my hand too. Although it's only worth 2 victory points. Ooh, advance a step on the blue. What's that looking like? Oh, that would get me an endgame scoring card. Let's see what these endgame scoring cards are. That might be the move. I mean, anything that lets me advance blue might be the move here. All right, so receive a victory point for each resource in your storage. That's in addition to what you normally get. Receive 2 victory points for each scientist in cities under your control. Ooh, yes, yes, yes. Receive 10 victory points if you have at least 5 of those on the main board. Well, do I have that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I do. So either of those would be good. All right, I need to find a way to advance up the blue track. All right, so this tells me if I'm in Lingren and I build the hub there. Well, where's Lingren? Oh, that's where I am. I do have control over it, so that would give me another point too. And it would be a project which would get me another point. I mean, I feel like everything's like it's literally telling me, dummy, do this. Now, this wouldn't be a point right now. I guess it's only 2 qubits there. It wouldn't be a point right now. It would be at the end of the game I would get that as part of my income phase. Because we still do all this stuff at the end of the... I mean, you don't do cleanup, obviously, but you still do your shipments and stuff at the end of the game. So, yeah, I feel like that would be dumb not to do that. I guess the other option is I could build in any of these places, but nah, I'm doing it. All right. So I have to choose what kind of resource I want to spend here. What kind of stuff can I build in the future? In the future, I could build that, which requires me to have red resource. Could do this, which requires 2 blue and a green, or I could do this one, which requires a red and a green. 2 blue and a green, huh? All right, so I'll spend the green here, because any resource can be used to pay for a hub. And I'm going to build that hub. I'm going to build that hub. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And then I get these 2 qubits for doing that, because that is the bonus for building hubs, is collect all the money there. And then I'm going to build this as a project replacing this one, because again, it's a one-time use, so why would I care about that? Which lets me advance. Now, I didn't build this kind of building. I didn't move up the blue during the construction step, but I did complete a project. So for completing a project, I do get a qubit, and I do get 1 glory, victory, hallelujah point, and I can settle somebody on this after construction. I could settle a scientist on that, which gets me 2 more glory, victory, construction things. Nice. All right, back to the AI turn. All right, you can end the game now, AI. Do they end the game? So they're going to go down 1 to here and over 1. Wow. They've literally... they've been around the world. All around the world. All right. Let's see. Are they going to end it here? So they construct a large building in the smallest space available, which is actually going to be this one in this situation. That's the minimum space there. They're going to get 8 victory points. Wow. All right, they are kicking my butt here. And they discard the leftmost subsidy card, which is going to be the end of the round, I think. Last card? Yep. All right, that marks the end of the round. They are the last player. So that officially marks the end of the game. So they are way up on me, but let's see if I catch up on end of game scoring. Let's end the round, actually, shall we? So let's do our income phase. So we're going to clear the spots. Let's actually do it this time. Clear the spots, and collect our income, which I forgot to do last time because I wasn't very smart, but I think we got it right. If I messed that up, I apologize. We might have been a little off on some of the spots. All right, so now we collect our income. So I get this. I get this. They would get this, this, and this, which again, they don't get money. I get this. They get this and this. But ink. Let's keep going. No, they get this. That's their purple building, not my building. Teal does not mean it's my building. All right, so I get these 2. And again, these are just qubits I'm collecting. This one would have moved here. I collect these 2. They would get this one, which goes away. I get this one. Let's keep going around. Nothing there. I collect these 2. So even if I messed up, which I don't think I did, and didn't collect income from there last turn, that's all right, because it just collected it this turn, and no income to be had there. All right, do I own any of these buildings? I own this one, and I own this one. Hey! All right, so that's a decent amount of qubits there. I'm not going to complain about that. Got to figure out a way to, like, get them all in here. It's a lot. Crazy. Captain of the qubits. All right. So we get the rest of our income. So do I get any income stuff? Well, yes, I get 4 more qubits. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There's that. Receive 1 blue for each R you have. I believe I can do these in any order. So I'm going to advance one step on this blue track first, which, oh, by the way, triggers me getting one of these. Do I just want to get 10 for sure, or 2 for each scientist in every city under my control? Well, there's no reason not to count it. This city's under my control, that's 3. So that's at least 6. This city's under my control, 7, 8. This city's under my control, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, yeah, that's going to be some points. So I'm doing that. So now I get a blue resource for each of these cards I control. Well, that means I get 3 resources. Again, don't turn into qubits, but I get those resources. Okay, anything else under income? Yes, I got the 4, I got that, I got that. Nothing else for me under income. Okay, so that is my income phase. So now shipment. First we must do our mandatory shipment. Well, that means 2 purple. The reminder, it's the last round. The last round you must ship at least 2 purple. Oh man, I needed more purple. So that is the mandatory. Minus 5 victory points for every purple you couldn't deliver there. All right, so this is worth 8 victory points. Heck yeah. All right, I'm doing this. I am first. Now again, it would be determined who's higher on the red track, but man, that is a good one. All right, so I got to pay. Oh, I don't have a red. No. They're going to get 8 victory points. Oh, that is brutally painful. All right, so this is any 3 resources. I get a qubit for doing it. Oh, that is like shot through the heart. Ah, that is brutal. 1 red short of 8. See, now these are things you should pay attention to if you are smart and paying attention. So I do get a qubit after I complete it, and I'm going to get 4 victory points at the end of the game. But boy, is that was painful. That was a painful one, because now they take the highest victory point one. Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, 8 victory points. You're welcome. All right, so I do have a purple and a blue, so I'm going to pay for this one. Purple and a blue, and then I get 2 qubits back. So there's my blue, there's my purple, and then I get 2 qubits for completing this card. Then they take this one because they're the AI and they cheat. And then I get to do this one from my hand if I can, which I can't. So it's just going to stay in my hand because I don't have 2 of the purple places. All right, so that is the end of the shipping phase. Now, at the end of round 3, skip this. You don't need to do cleanup phase because there's literally, oh, well, the only benefit would be you would get your workers, but you don't do that. So let's go to end of game scoring. It's a little different for us and them. If we're playing any different difficulty mode beside easy, we would add victory points to them now. I think they are up by quite enough already. So they check their shipping contracts like we do, and they add points for this, and then we're going to do control of cities together. So I'm just going to see how many contracts they fulfilled and give them that points first. They've completed 6 contracts, which they didn't, they just cheated. So it's 3, 4, and 4 is 8. Now again, I'm just looking at this number there. Plus 3 is 11. Plus 8, really? 19. Plus 3 is 21. Which puts them at 99 points, which, yeah, that's more than I have. All right, let's do my contracts so I feel a little bit better about myself. Hey, I completed 6 contracts as well. So let's see. 4, 5, 6, 10, 13, 17, 20. All right, I got close. So that puts me at 44. Nice. All right, so that's my contracts. Let's see what else I score, though. We'll look at the normal end of game scoring because I score as normal end of game would be. So points for controlling cities, we'll get to cities last. Points for positions on the industry and science tracks. So let's do that, please. Yes. So I get 7 for the industry track and 10 for this track. So that's 17 more points. So 17 plus the 44 I have would be 61. Okay, I'll take that. So points for fulfilled shipment contracts, we already did that. Points at end of the game specific from your research program, Generation 3 card. So let's look at that. I'm liking this. All right, so again, 2 victory points for each science in cities under my control. So let's look at cities under my control. And I'll just count number of scientists. So this city is under my control. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 points of control here to their 3. I do control this. So that's 2 scientists. This one is also mine. 3 scientists. This one is also mine. 4, 5, 6 scientists. This one is also mine. 7, 8 scientists. This one is also mine. 9, 10, 11 scientists. Nothing here. Nothing here. Nothing here. So 11 scientists. And how much do I get for each? 2 for each. So that's 22 points. That seems pretty good. So 22 plus 61 would be 83 points. Okay, we're catching them. We're catching them. So I think the last thing we need to score is cities. But let's double check that. All right, so that was ended game effects. Points for all available resources. I'm sorry, I do get more. In the storage, qubits in your supply, and number of projects and shipment contracts in your hand. So wait, so resources, qubits, and projects and shipment cards in your hand divided by 3. And then victory point tokens collected and subtract 5. Okay, so literally all that stuff divided by 3. So let's start with the easy thing. I got 4 cards in my hand and 2 blank spots here. So that's 6 total between resources and cards. Now let's count the qubits. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. So 27 divided by 3 is 9. So 9 more victory points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Woo! 92 to 99. All right, last scoring is cities. So we're going to go through every city in the game and score it. So just as a reminder for how city scoring works. The player who owns the most buildings and AI tokens in a city controls the city. If there's a tie, the points for the controlling city are divided as evenly among the players, rounded down. So you get 1 point for each engineer, 2 for each scientist, and 1 for each building in that city. So let's go through them. First city, I control it. I'm the only one with anything in there. That is 1, 2, 3 points. So 3 points for the good guys. Let's look at the next city. They control it. There's just 2 buildings there. They get 2 points. 1, 2, putting them over 100 points. All right, we're going down to this next city. I have control over this one. So 1, 2, 3 buildings, and then 2 points for each of the scientists. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 for the good guys. Does that put me up? 104 to 101. It does. Sweet. All right, this next one, they control. They have 2 to my 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. Boo. And I'm behind again. All right, so we've done the first planet. We've done all the cities in that planet. So I feel like I've won this bottom planet, but let's see how it works out. So I have 1, 2, 3 control here. They have 1, 2 control. So this is mine. This is a big one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points for controlling that city. So 10 gets me to 14. And the lead. Now, this city here, I have control over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 points. Nice. All right, this city. They have 1, 2, 3 control over it. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have control of this city. So 1, 2, 3 buildings. 1, 2 engineers. So that, oh, I'm sorry, 4 buildings. And 2 engineers is 6 points. 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 more points gets me to 129. And then the last building over here. So this is mine because I got the control here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 victory points puts me at 135 to their 106. I mean, clearly victory. But I also would have won on hard mode. I would not have won on expert mode. So that is how you do expert mode. They would have beat me by 1 point. Clearly, I'm an expert. Almost. Not quite. Not quite an expert. I'm 1 shy of being an expert. But I just played normal mode, so or easy mode, whatever you want to call it. Let's get to final thoughts time. All right, final thoughts time on Frozen Frontier. I really like this game. It reminds me a lot of a game like Brass, where you have those certain city cards where you can either build in the city or you can build on that specific space. Now, they give you a little bit more flexibility than Brass because you could build on either one or the other. So I really like that. I like the pacing of the game. Your turns seem to be really fast, but as in a lot of these economic games, as you go further and further, you got to check like 5 different cards to see what you're doing. I really think that the resource generation is really clever. You're removing cubes, putting them on the board, which then becomes income for whoever owns that building. I really like how the resource and money can be tight. You didn't see it this game, but I've certainly had games of this I played where money has been tight. So don't be fooled by this first game. Sometimes money generation is much more important than it was in this one specifically. Here I had a hard time with the red resource. There weren't a lot of places to build it. And I did notice from game to game, it is going to be different resources that are going to be more or less valuable. So I like all of that about the game. A couple concerns I have though are, number one, I'm not sure that I love that the timing and the pacing of the game is based on when those subsidy cards goes away for a couple reasons. Number one, it wouldn't be a winning strategy, but somebody could literally just rush through the subsidy cards. Literally, you didn't see me take that income action once because I had so much money in the game. But if you take that, that gets you 3 qubits and you get to do one of the subsidy cards. You're removing a subsidy card. Well, in a 2-player game, there's only 4 of them. In a 3-player game, I think there's only 5 of them. So if somebody really wanted to, not necessarily, again, a winning strategy, but they could just rush through those subsidy cards. I like the idea that the timing is based on player actions. I'm just not sure that I love that there's only a couple of those cards and how quickly they go through. So I hope they rethink or do something about the end of the game, because that worries me a little bit, although I haven't played enough, to be fair, to judge whether that's really truly a problem or not. It's just something that's gone on in my head. I'm like, well, I could just rush the end of the game here, especially like you go through the first 2 rounds, and if you're way up, you could literally just subsidy, 4 straight actions. Granted, the other person's going to be doing stuff, but it's not like you get 0 victory points during that action. So I don't know. I'm still not 100% sure about that yet. That endgame victory point card I got was worth 22 victory points. That was quite a bit. So that is a little bit of a concern as well. I haven't really gotten one that was worth that many points before, but that's certainly a huge swing. So I don't know whether it's a problem or not, but I do know that that's a huge swing. So something to pay attention for. I know one of my buddies wouldn't like such a big amount of victory points gotten right there at the end of the game. I don't think it's a problem. You just have to know if it's an issue for you or not. And the only other thing I'd like to see is, first of all, solo game. You saw I almost beat Expert today. Now, I've certainly lost to the AI before. It's not an easy game to play against solo. I don't want to give that impression off. But I wish there was something else besides just adding victory points to the AI at the end of the game. I wish there was something like they do with Gaia Project, where add in expert cards or something like that to ramp up the difficulty during the game. Now they're taking more spaces, they're fighting you more in the area control aspect of things. I just wish there was a little something that they could do to make the AI play a little differently from game to game. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of variety, and I love how smooth and easy and quick the AI turns are, but I hope they do a little something to make the AI feel different from game to game, and also to have like an expert mode AI mode rather than just like adding victory points at the end of the game. So there's some slight concerns for a game that I really love. I mean, end of the day is this game is great. Is it up there with Brass and those other games? I don't know. Time will tell on that one, but it is a fun economic game. I love what you're doing on your turn. I love all the things that are happening. There is a lot. It is a crunchy game, but once you get it, the turns are so simple, so straightforward. Now, again, you have to check like 5 different places when you're done everything, but as you've seen, it's pretty easy to go through, and it's pretty quick to go through your turns once you actually get the engine churning on this game. So I really do think that this is a great Euro game. I do think it's a great economic game. I've really enjoyed my plays of it so far, and I am looking forward to seeing what the final production does look like. Yeah, no, I mean, this is a Kickstarter, right? So they have some time to fix some of those things, and I hope they do look at some of those things that I have concerns about, as well as making those spaces a little more distinct between the small building spaces and the big building spaces. I hope they just, color code that or something, which is an easy enough thing to do. So anyway, I'm Peter with the One Stop Co-op Shop. I hope you enjoyed this, and don't forget to check out our live play where I'll be playing on the expert mode where you don't have a standard set of cards. You'll be drafting those at the beginning of the game, and also there'll be different corporations to choose from too. It'll be a more advanced corporation as well. So check all that out on the One Stop Co-op Shop stream channel. Until next time, bye!